Hello, hello. Glad you can join us today. My name is McKenna Mancuso. I'll be your host today on this podcast about relationships. My guest with me today is Connor Garrity, a 22-year-old college student who also happens to be a great friend of mine. This is our second episode, so we are still ironing out the kinks of the recording process. But please, sit back, relax, and enjoy our chat. All right. How you doing, Connor, today?
I can't complain. How about yourselves?
I'm doing good. Excited for this episode. We're going to be talking about relationships. Yay!
All right, ask away.
So, what are your, first experiences with love?
Oof. One of the big... I remember, my earliest reaction... my first experience with that was probably maybe freshman year when I had a crush on this girl on my bus. I mean, I confess, but I was also a very high anxiety, weird little... I don't even know what the hell I was back then.
Awkward teen.
Exactly. I was awkward teen, and I just, didn't really have much confidence in myself at the time, so I came up and walked up to her. I was like, "Hi, how are you?" kind of thing. So...
Trying to have that deep voice.
Yes, and unfortunately at the time I was, my voice was, it was cracking unbelievably. It was just like, "Hey, how you doing? It's nice to meet you." I sound like a Looney Tunes character in reality.
Hey, Louie.
Hey, how you doing? It's Louie here. So.
Well, I totally, but props to you for getting the courage to confess to her.
I definitely. One of the big things is I noticed, granted, unfortunately, it didn't really work out, and we did remain friends throughout high school, so it wasn't a total loss. And she was I haven't spoken to her in a couple of years now, but maybe I should probably do that sometime. But I think it's just more kind of building up that confidence and this was my first time I really wanted to ask someone out. So yeah, I definitely realized okay. Here's what I did well, here's what I didn't do well, but unfortunately what I didn't do well overshadowed what I did well. I think the only thing I did well was the fact I walked up to her, me and just saying hello.
Your first experience, actually getting out there and, talking to a girl and, trying to get her attention in a way. But, what kind of got you when did you start finding that you were interested in dating?
Definitely freshman year. I remember that same girl I remember talking to. I don't know why, it just out of nowhere at the time I didn't really care, but then all of a sudden it just hit me like a shotgun blast kind of thing where it's so I was just like, oh, he's like, hey, yeah, he's like, oh, you weren't really, the only thing I cared about was oh, you want to get your school work and play Xbox and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, now you want to date this girl kind of thing.
You saw her, you got to know her, and then it was kind of that feeling where it was oh, this girl was really interesting and cool. This is the first time I've ever, noticed somebody that I wanted to pursue.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you said it hit you kind of just randomly.
Yeah, it just, I was just ways, I was like, hey, dude, she might be, I was like, yeah, there might be a chance there. Granted, obviously didn't happen, but again, it's just, I was a freshman in high school. That was, 6 years ago now?
Yeah. Right, so my next question to you is, did you feel any pressure to find a partner, from your friends, from society?
It's, I think I put more pressure on myself because my friend group, unfortunately, they weren't the type that, they don't really care. They kind of have the mindset of, we really don't, we really don't care if, we date or not. I won't say any names, but one of them was kind of just the casual, just it is what it is kind of thing. The one just really just flat out he's like, nah, I'd rather, I'd rather not deal with that whole relationship stuff. But then I had a friend of mine who I'm going to remain nameless at the time, who was, he was pretty much, he was a lot more, he was a lot more confident compared to the rest of us. I think he dated a couple people during high school, so he was definitely successful there, but but pressure-wise from friend groups, no, there wasn't really much there. If it happened, it happened. maybe my dad will mention it here and there, but I mean, that's just kind of like the father thing, being like, "Hey, you talking to girls or anything?" And I'm like, and
when you gonna get a girlfriend?
that if I told that to my mother, she'd be like, "Oh, so I'm getting grandkids now or something like that." I'm like, "Mom, I'm a sophomore, not now."
Your mom's like crazy for grandkids. I even went over to your house as your friend, and she was like, I have 3 sons and 2 nephews.
Yeah, she I think that's just the mother joke or something like that. I mean, I might make that joke when I'm a parent, but I mean, it'd be more like I make sure off the bat I know I'm joking with them. So, but with her, it's I don't know what she is. So, on the record, I do love my mother. She's just a little bit crazy.
All our mothers are a little bit crazy. Well,
I drink to that.
Like, how did it make you feel to be interested in somebody and it not work out?
I mean, as the years go on, I kind of just learned to adjust to it. It just, first time I got rejected, it hit me pretty hard. I mean, I also didn't really have anyone to really talk to about it. I mean, freshman year, I also grew up in a house of all guys, and my dad was very old-fashioned. So when it comes to stuff like that, I could talk to him about it, but he'll have the old-fashioned Irish mindset, like, just don't worry, just, it's like, yeah, it'll go away eventually.
Yeah.
So,
and like, you just made that gesture.
Yeah,
of,
I just pushed it. Yeah, I just put that motion down and just till you die or something like that. I was just like, oh, thanks,
That's
Dad.
sad.
Again, he also grew up in a very, my dad grew up in a very old-fashioned household, kind of like, he was born in the 60s and raised, by an old-fashioned, Italian mother and a Irish father. So he had that old mindset, so I don't really necessarily blame him for that. So, but, I guess
society too.
Yeah, I don't blame him for that. I mean, at the time I was a little upset with it, but in the end I just kind of just dust myself off, and eventually I just kind of like, no point of, you don't get far in life, or you don't get far with these kind of emotions, feeling sorry for yourself, so you just, again, like I said, pick yourself up, dust yourselves off, and just move along.
Yeah, like I totally relate to that too. My story's a little different because I didn't really date in high school. I liked guys, but I felt like nobody was mature enough to date at that age.
That's, looking back at that, I did realize I was looking for something kids my age aren't really looking for. Just looking for more, something like obviously, sophomore, Connor is, not gonna be looking for like, who am I gonna share my trust fund with or some adult stuff like that. But I was kind of looking for more something
help
more.
me pay the mortgage.
But I just never really, that's the kind of stuff.
More looking for companionship.
Exactly.
Somebody that you can talk to, who's going to be there for you, who's going to help you through the tough times.
Exactly.
And that's very mature of you to, at that age, not a lot of young people are thinking about that kind of relationship. I feel like society nowadays, we get this impression through, media and TV and movies is that high school is going to be this certain way and it's this grand love story and it's this rags to riches.
No. It's definitely nothing like that. Granted, I mean, I didn't hate high school, but I definitely do not want to relive that. I just thinking about it kind of feels like I'm like a giant boulder I'm pushing everywhere I go, so I just put that behind me and just kind of at least remember what I learned from then and just kind of keep pushing forward. So
yeah, pushing forward is the only thing that you can do, especially if you get kind of beaten down like that. Another thing has to do with it is self-esteem. And if you have low self-esteem and you keep getting shot down, that can't be good for your mental health at all.
Oh no, not at all. I mean, I've been shot down more times than I can count, but eventually I just have to power on through. I know last summer I went through a bit of a rejection, which I gotta say, it hit me pretty freaking hard. I won't get into details exactly I probably can go in slight details about it. It's just someone I've been pursuing for a while, and then I got, to put it lightly, rejected that way. But the way it happened was unconventional in a way. You kind of just know.
Yeah.
So it hit me pretty hard, and, granted I had some other stuff outside of that kind of happened that summer, which it was just a bad summer overall. Well, one big thing I also have to say, those who are feeling like that emotionally compromised, my recommendation is to like work out and stuff like that. I mean, because when I started like working out a lot more, I actually started feeling a lot better about myself, feeling more confident. And at the beginning of last summer, I was 225 pounds, and I used that motion to keep pushing myself, and now I'm at a whopping 178 pounds. So,
I know, that's amazing. Like, applause to you, man.
Thank you. I commend those who actually stood by me and helped kind of motivate me and push me and help me. So those who actually helped me, I raise my glass to you.
Yeah, it's like, another thing to help is like, having that sort of support system. And I love that you're working out, you're getting this outlet. It can be very therapeutic, but it's also, I would assume, is helping your self-esteem.
Oh yeah, definitely. I definitely feel a lot better with myself. I feel, granted, I still have some kinks I need to work out, that kind of stuff, but I do feel a lot better talking with other people. I mean, when it comes to like talking with girls, sometimes that inner freshman Connor kind of does come out, but I do have I find ways to kind of like suppress that. And one of the big things I think it was from the talk show host, I believe he's not on the air anymore, but he says, is Craig Ferguson. You probably, if anyone knows the name, but one quote that he says that when it comes to like talking with girls or just someone you're interested in, he says just talk to them like they're just any other person.
Yeah.
Which that's the mindset I try to put myself in. If I'm talking with someone at my work that I'm interested in, or someone at my class I'm interested in, I just talk to them like they're human beings.
Definitely.
But not like I'm not trying to actively date this person. I just I talk to them as just they're like maybe if it comes like a human being, maybe if it comes like a friend or girlfriend, what have you, just talk.
You want that kind of experience to happen naturally, right? It's not something that you can force, really, that kind of connection.
Exactly.
Like, some people expect that you have to have like a loving connection with somebody right away. It has to be love at first sight, but really it's a gradual change where you love the person that you're with more and more the more you get to know them.
Yeah, that's why I always thought the movie, the play Romeo and Juliet was all bullshit. So I was just like, those two fell in love at first sight. I'm like, come on, we all know, that seems a little much, don't you think?
Yeah, it's very drastic what happened there.
Just on the record, we respect William Shakespeare.
We respect him. All right, well, let's see. All right, so to go back to that, like, sort of one summer of craziness that happened with that girl, and I was having some problems that summer as well. Like, we bonded over that a lot. We went through that together.
Which, again, raised my glass to you. You took it like a champ, like like anyone else could.
Yeah, it's awesome having that support system of, like, friends and family that you can go to and talk to about that kind of things and get that advice from. I know that we related to each other a lot. We used to go to the movies together and sit on top of, like, our movie theater has an escalator going up to the second floor, but there's nothing on top of there, and there's just this big floor to ceiling length windows to go out into the parking lot and out into the highway. It was
a great site. Unfortunately, with the COVID and all that, unfortunately that site is closed for the time being, which is a shame because I kind of just like standing up there. I look like a super villain just staring out on the city, like on his like ivory tower.
I know. We would always be there. We'd have like conversations after movies because we'd like to talk about it because we went through a similar experience because I got rejected that summer as well.
Oof, and I remember that one. That was yeah, but unfortunately, again, gotta power on through and never want to relive a summer like that ever again.
It honestly sucked. Like, I could understand what you're feeling. Where to get rejected, you were gonna have a great time with. That was gonna be this was gonna be your big break. This was going to be the thing that was going to thrust you into that romantic comedy that you've always wanted to be in. And it kind of, that fantasy just shatters.
And that's what hurts. What that's the thing with my case, and I imagine you probably felt the same exact way, is that it doesn't, like, when it hit me, it wasn't like a gradual, like, thing, like, over a couple of weeks or a month or something like that. It was literally, you were on cloud 9 and then you're falling from grace kind of thing. That's how there was no build up. It just happened just like that.
Yeah, and I could see like the change in you too, like just your expression like afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say every sense of joy, everything that I was building up to, just the idea of like I finally get to actually have something serious, and then gone just like that. It's upsetting, but we live and learn.
You live and learn. I mean, it is life. I mean, you go through rejections, you go through failures. The road to success isn't just a one-way street. You have to, understand that you're going to get rejected, you're going to get failure, but you need to pick yourself up and, get through it, which you've been doing an awesome job doing. And, it's about loving yourself as well. You have to love yourself before you can get ready and love somebody else.
I completely agree with that, because last summer, again, that was the heaviest I've ever been, and when I started working out a lot more, I actually started feeling a little bit better about myself. I know now this isn't a weight loss commercial thing going on here, right? So just full disclosure. It was
just an outlet.
Yeah, exactly. It's but I do, those who feeling down and stuff like that, working out here and there can do you wonders. That's
A lot of people say that working out is therapy, but some people may not even agree with it. Not in a sense where they haven't tried it yet, And I would try many different things as an outlet, as something that's going to help you feel better. And working out is one of those things. It's a very common therapeutic outlet. But there are other ways that you can get out there and, get out your frustrations, whether it be reading, whether it be doing something you love, whether it be hanging out with friends and family. Anything that can help you is a pick-me-up.
Yeah, that's one of the big things I do is when I work out, it cleared my head. It definitely helped. I used to go to the movies constantly. Sometimes I'll go with friends, sometimes I'll just go alone. I know even there was one time, I think it was right before the theaters closed down, before the whole pandemic. The last movie I saw in theaters before they reopened, which I went to go see, Tenet, which good movie, bit confusing at some points, but that's an understatement. But the movie I saw before, which I've been wanting to see because I kind of could relate to, is the movie The Way Back, which that themes of that movies kind of relate to how my summer of 2019 was. So that's definitely it's just I watch a movie that that I feel a connection to, because it's just what's the word I'm looking for? Say
something you relate to.
Yeah, I relate. It's just something that I just identify with. I identified with Ben Affleck's character in that movie. Well, yes and no, because in the movie his character was the alcoholic, and then there's someone like me who's seen the outside looking in. So kind of again, that was just kind of my escape, but it was also kind of a different perspective on stuff like that, and that's kind of why I love cinema so much. And that's also, again, big escape from stuff like that, just kind of showing one of the best lessons I ever learned from life was from cinema. So
yeah. That's something you're really passionate about.
Exactly.
Something that makes you happy, right? And a question I want to ask you next, it might be a little controversial, but do you think society conditions us to think that we need to be in a relationship to be happy?
Well, it really depends on the individual, really, because granted, I could get in a relationship within soon, and maybe it would help because, again, like you said before, companionship would definitely be a big factor. If there was actually a companionship there, that would definitely, at least put me at ease and stuff like that. But for individuals, sometimes, it could be a thing, I have the girlfriend, I have everything, I have that relationship, but they still feel there's still missing something. So I guess really the big thing is that if you have someone like that companionship, kind of that person in your corner, I guess, yes, it will definitely, put
somebody on your side.
Exactly. You feel you're not taking on the world on your own kind of thing.
Yeah, a pillar of support.
Exactly.
And I totally understand that. Me, I'm in a relationship right now. It's nice to have somebody to, lean on from time to time. But at the same time, I'm a strong believer that you shouldn't stake all your happiness into one person. You shouldn't expect that once you get into a relationship, you're going to be automatically happy and everything's going to be good. And it might be like that in the beginning, but that's the honeymoon phase, right?
It was 3 or 4 months into the relationship or something like that?
It depends on the relationship and the person. But what I'm trying to say is society almost conditions us to expect that we need to have a relationship to feel complete. You need to find your other half, when really you're a whole person. and you have thoughts and feelings and things that you adore and love. Like, you love movies, you love cinema, you love writing movies. That's something that you're passionate about. That's something you find joy in. It's not like something like another person who you stake all your happiness in. You expect so much from that one person when really your happiness should be spread out.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, because it seems like the society tends to think that we have to put all of our cards on this one thing, like this companion or relationship and stuff like that. And like you said, it needs to be spread out more. That's like your love gotta be, can shine in other places or should be shown in other places and all that. It's not like a Hallmark movie or something like that. So.
Yeah, I totally agree.
We don't condone Hallmark movies.
Well, actually, to relate to movies, recently I had rewatched The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I don't know if you've seen that movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
Oh, I love it so much too, and I love the story in it, and it kind of is a love story, but at the same time, it isn't its main focus, and it kind of has that idea of the main character. He's shy, he's reserved, he isn't the person he used to be. Where when he was younger, he was very outgoing. He had a mohawk, and he was a skater dude, And he's kind of going through that journey of self-discovery and finding fulfillment in his life through adventure and, photography in a way, too. And I loved about that message of that movie. And he does get the girl in the end, but it's just the beginning of the relationship,
I would say it's kind of like a really good movie, I think, that explores the whole idea of, relationships, is the movie Her. With Joaquin Phoenix.
I love that movie.
That's the thing. I tried watching that movie during the summer of 2019, which my mind was in the right mindset, so I kind of had to put that one on the back burner. But I eventually went back to it, I think, later in the year, and I absolutely fell in love with that movie. Ironically, but because the themes of the movie was just so beautiful. It's just so great. I absolutely loved it. So
yeah, it's that theme of love,
Exactly, and then it's like the idea of one thing which I really liked was the idea that Joaquin Phoenix's character always wanted everything in the relationship to be to a T in his mind.
Yeah.
But in the end, but the whole idea is listen, do you kind of just not every girl, whoever you meet, is not going to be exactly as you expect them, but it's more of it's
those lists, not expectations. What are they called? They're sort of standards.
Standards, yes.
Yes. These lists of standards that you think that this other person has to meet, or else they won't be perfect for you. Some people, they have to be at least 6 feet tall, or ruggedly handsome, tall, dark, and handsome, right? When really there's so many good people out there. And they might not look like Tom Cruise or Benedict Cumberbatch. But
no, you're thinking of Butternut Quingleback.
Cucumber? But you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that.
Where, there's so many good people out there, and it's more about the personalities in the person rather than looks. So now we're getting into looks versus personality when it comes to a relationship. So looks of a person, looks fade. Looks fade.
Oh yeah, but
when you want to get into a relationship and you want to be with somebody, it's more of that personality and if it's the right fit for you.
Which granted, I think going back to the whole idea of Her is it's the idea. What I like about it is that I think as a young kid at the time, I've always related to Joaquin Phoenix's character because I always had these kind of mindset. This is how this is gonna be tall, blonde, blue eyes. But yeah, it's kind of it's eventually that movie. Again, one of the big lessons I learned from life is from that movie. At least when it comes to romance, no matter whether this person may not be perfect, may have the most perfect person, at least doesn't check off every box in your things. But like you said, maybe looks fade and all that stuff, but the character remains intact. Someone who's loving, caring, so on and all that. It's just I can go off about this movie for hours. So it's just I freaking love it.
Close to the heart.
Oh yeah, it's great. I absolutely love it. So yeah, I think at least with myself, I know when I was 225, I'm not granted I don't think I was necessarily bad looking, but I looked like Jabba the Hutt if he actually had legs, but...
That's a little harsh.
Hey, listen, it motivates me, so I don't care.
Oh, come on, you're a cute guy.
Buy me dinner first.
No, but seriously, like, I don't understand, like, how people... Like, I get it that... Like, looks can be, like, a catching feature, where, like, when you look at somebody, that's the first thing that draws you in, and the personality draws you in more. But I feel like people should drop their standards more, because there's so many good people out there, and, like, sweet people like you who probably deserve, like, a nice, caring person to be with.
Now, when it comes to dropping standards, that doesn't mean you should go to that one kid who can't bench press his own weight. The guy who looks like he's got like some weird. He's like some. I mean, because I've seen a lot of girls like who kind of reject me, but they always go for the kid that looks like he just got hit by a bus or something like that.
Yeah, like that's weird, and like. Some people, I guess, they go for that sort of, like, dangerous guy who's not afraid to, like,
Exactly, and let's face it, a stiff wind can knock them over if they really wanted to, so, they put rocks in their pockets so, they don't float away like a kite or something like that, so.
As a female, I never understood that, because, like, there were guys in high school that were kind of like that approached me, but I was never really interested in that. I was more interested in, like, goody two-shoes kind of person.
Respectable and all that.
Yes, respectable, exactly. Somebody who was mature, and, like, you don't really find that in high school with high school boys, so that's why I never dated in high school. And my first boyfriend, Billy, you remember him?
Oh, yeah. The Slender Man.
Yeah, and, like, one of the reasons why I dated him was because he was so tall. And, like, back at it now, it's like, why did I go for such a bland guy who doesn't fit my personality, just for looks? It was just for looks, man. And it didn't work out at all. And now that, that's like a lesson that I learned of paying attention to more of the personality of the person that I'm looking for rather than their looks. And their personality will make them seem more attractive to you. Yeah, because, like, if you're in love with their personality, you'll just be in love with them.
I completely agree with that. I mean, there's a lot of there's a couple of times where I kind of felt the same way about certain people, but unfortunately, obviously they decided to go on a different avenue while I kind of just went on my own avenue also. So, I mean, unfortunately, it is what it is. So I'm not worried about it too much. I mean, again, you don't get far in life feeling sorry for yourself. Again, pick yourself up and just keep moving forward.
Exactly.
Anyway, so
yeah, like coming from like your point of view, you're just kind of focusing on yourself right now, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, granted, I am shedding the weight, and there are probably some few people at my work that I've been interested in talking to, but we'll see where that goes. I mean. But yeah, as of right now, I think if to answer your question, I am kind of doing a little bit of both. So
yeah,
which I'm at a point where I do feel a lot more confident. I almost dropped almost 50 pounds, which
it's a huge achievement. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Connor. That's all the time we have. This is our second episode. We're still kind of getting out the kinks, but thank you so much. Do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for having me, and to those who get rejected or feel like you're in a low place, just keep on keeping on and power on through. It's all about willpower in the end, and I know you guys got it. Till next time.
Thank you for listening in today. If you want to know more about relationships and how people express love, I recommend the book The 5 Love Languages by Chapman, where you can find out how you express your love and how you love to receive it. This can be a good avenue for when you are in a relationship and to help bridge the gap of communication. Remember, it's just life.